A lot of producers can always tell me what they paid for poultry litter and what it costs to apply. But the biggest question, and one of the hardest things to determine, is what's the value they're getting out of that litter? Okay, because as you'll see, it'll depend on a lot of different factors. So we'll go through those factors, go through some scenarios, and then I'll introduce you to a tool that's been developed that you can use yourself to adjust, play with, and look at different values for poultry litter based on management practices. So real quick, here's a map of Kentucky where highlighted are the poultry producing counties in the state. As you can see, there's about 43 counties total, and mainly in the grain production part of the state. Okay. So obviously, we've got about 3,000 houses in the state. That's increasing, seems like every day now. We produce a lot of litter. Here's a range of tons of litter per house per year. Okay. So you're looking at a total, on average, about 600,000 tons of litter, and at a rate of about 2 tons an acre applied, can cover about 3,000 acres, or 300,000 acres. Okay? So with that much litter, there's a great opportunity to use this as a nutrient source. But, like I said, what is the value? Again, factors to consider when valuing poultry litter. First, we want to look at soil test values. Okay, what is your soil test P and K? Do you even need to apply a complete fertilizer like poultry litter? The nutrient content of the litter. You'll see here in a few slides that will vary more than what you think. Okay, and it's quite drastic depending on when clean out was, etc., and what feed and what integrator. So nutrient content of the litter. Also commercial fertilizer prices, right? You're comparing that poultry litter to what that alternative commercial fertilizer price is going to be and what's applied. When it's applied has a huge impact on the value, okay? Whether it's applied during the spring, during the fall, on a cover crop, which we'll see. Also, incorporation of nitrogen. All right, whether that's steel or rain. My colleague back there, Josh, is going to do a presentation here later this morning, talk about the poultry litter injector. So, incorporating that nitrogen. And then, like I said, if you're applying in the winter, is it on a winter cover crop? How much you can extract the nitrogen value out of that. And then, how far you're hauling, right? If you're hauling 10 miles versus 200, that impacts that value of the poultry litter. So I said earlier that nutrient content is important of the poultry litter, and measuring nutrient content is important. This chart here shows the as-received nutrient content of over 700 samples of poultry litter across the state. And the average almost fits that 50-50-50 that we kind of sometimes assume. But I asked this question, what does this mean? To me, as an economist, that's risk. Quite a bit of risk. Okay? So those same samples, I put some dollar values on it for today's current price of NP and K. Huge range. This is the frequency, so the number of samples that fell into this range. So this shows us that over 700 samples, if you pay, or let's put it this way, 50% of those samples have a value less than $40 a ton. So, another way to put this, if you paid $40 a ton for that litter and you did not measure that litter, there is a 50% chance that you're not extracting the value. Okay? So that's the importance here. of measuring your litter. And this assumes that you actually need the nutrients from the litter. Okay? So, you can control the economics of poultry litter simply by management practices. Okay? So we're going to go through an example. We're going to apply 2 tons an acre that has a nutrient content of 40, 90, 94, and we paid $40 a ton for it. Okay? Your soil test P and soil test K are 30 and 220. Okay? So AGR1 says we need 120 pounds of P and 100 pounds of K. So what if we applied during spring? Okay, this is a simple timing issue. Okay? We applied $40 a ton, 2 tons an acre, $80 a ton. That value, you get what you pay for at current fertilizer prices. Okay? What about fall? Fall application. If you do fall application today, or coming up this fall, you lose about $19 a ton in value. So you're not getting that nitrogen. That's an absolute, so this is on fallow land, but if it's on a cover crop, Josh, help me out here, it's about, I think it's 50%. Right now, I think the book value is 50%. But I wouldn't bet anything on that. I would go with that number. We actually have a grant working this year to answer that very question. By the end of this year, we'll have some numbers on that for various cover crops. So good question.
Okay, you're talking about the immediately available nitrogen loss, right?
So if you apply in the fall, what's available? Yes.
What about, I know with, say, cattle and other manures, you're going to have a mineralization rate over a few years. There's going to be some value that nitrogen released over time.
So this is, the way to look at this is commercial fertilizer equivalent, right? Today. Okay, good questions. So, same exact example, you just have different soil test P and soil test K. Okay? So higher on both, 180 and 420. AGR1 says, or HO1 says you don't need any of each. But you go ahead and apply it anyway. Spring application on fallow land, it costs you $80. You get that nitrogen value of $10. Okay? Obviously, fall application, you're not getting that nitrogen value, it's $0. Now, I will preface there is other ancillary benefits of poultry litter, right? Organic matter, micronutrients, etc. So, but from a commercial fertilizer equivalent standpoint, you're not extracting that value. Same example, but we're going to look at it a little differently. Okay? Assuming that you need the poultry litter and you're applying in the fall, or in the spring, I'm sorry, how does commercial fertilizer prices affect that value? Okay? So like I said, we looked at today's value of 38. We add $2 a ton for today for lime value as well. Get you at 40. But what was that price what's that value in 2008? Does anybody remember what fertilizer prices were in 2008? Pretty high, right? That was the peak. That same litter now went for $64 a ton in value. What about 2003? What were fertilizer prices back then? Low, really low. So that same poultry litter was almost not even $20 a ton in value. So we've got a lot of dynamics going on here. Management strategies, commercial fertilizer prices, etc. So, I mentioned earlier about a tool that's been developed. So this is available on that website, on my website listed below. This is a tool that you can use and adjust your numbers, put in, make it customizable, and it will tell you, well, a few things, but main thing is the value, okay? So, I've got a few screenshots of where you put your inputs. So here, you enter your soil test values. So, soil test results for P, K, and it will automatically return you AGR1's recommendations. Okay? Then over here, you have your poultry litter nutrient content. Okay? Did you test the manure, yes or no? Okay? $25 can get you a test that could save you a lot of financial risk in the long run. So, test your manure and then enter those values from your test of the nutrient content. Next, put in your commercial fertilizer prices that you're seeing today, tomorrow, whenever you're applying, okay? These are drop-down menus in blue. You drop down, you select your source, whatever's available in your area, and just enter that price per unit there, and it'll calculate, or price per ton, and then it'll calculate unit cost for you automatically. Okay? Then from there, we address management practices. Okay? These are drop downs, so time of litter application, spring, fall, winter. Crop during winter, so whether you have a fallow, cover crop, or wheat. Tons applied per acre. Do you plan on incorporating litter? So whether that's, like I said, steel or rain. Yes or no there. And then the time from application to incorporation. Then put in your litter pricing. So we have a drop-down menu. Some people just buy the litter and then they litter and haul. There's all different combinations. So those are in there. Drop down, price paid per ton. If you ended up spreading it yourself, the cost per ton to spread. And then if you incorporated it, that cost per acre. Okay. And then if you're hauling, you can put in some of your hauling inputs. So how much is your labor, fuel cost, fuel efficiency, truck capacity, and then what's your haul distance for that litter? All that input then brings up these results. So it will tell you the commercial fertilizer equivalent of NP and K that's available, and then the results. This first number will tell you the cost of litter per ton, the value of the litter per ton. This right here is the average, the value of the average nutrient content of all those over 700 samples. So you can see how your sample does with the average nutrient content and the value there. Here is based on how many tons per acre you apply. Tells you the cost per acre and then the value per acre. This right here is not shown because I have this spot right here. So if you put no on that drop-down menu of not measuring your litter, it will tell you the probability that what you paid for will be less than the value. Okay? And then, based on the value, it will tell you what is the maximum one-way hauling distance you can afford to drive to apply litter and still reap some value. Okay? Any questions about the tool? Like I said, it can be downloaded online there. So here's a snapshot of the tool, whole screenshot of the whole thing. This is available online right now, but there will be some adjustments, some modifications coming in about a little less than a year from now, thanks to the corn growers and the soybean board funding some work to improve this and enhance this model to make it more dynamic. So look for those changes. These are available right now for you to use. So in conclusion, do you even need litter? So soil tests. If so, measure. Know what you're getting in the litter. Again, commercial fertilizer equivalent, specifically nitrogen, will vary based on management practices. The value of litter can be managed. You can adjust just by simply altering those management practices. Again, the poultry litter tool is online, and I always like to end with this. Be respectful of your neighbors. You know, don't go applying litter when they're having their family reunion that day and they're out there eating and grilling. It's not very nice. So with that, also failed to mention this coming winter, if you're interested in poultry litter, we will be having a farmer panel discussion, probably 2 days. It's going to be regionally county-based. We've got one location identified so far, which will be McLean County. The other one's to be determined. We're going to bring in, we're going to have 2 poultry producers from Kentucky, or poultry litter users from Kentucky, as well as 2 poultry litter users from the eastern shore of Maryland. And to come together, get different perspectives on their management practices, their experience. The reason we're doing the eastern shore of Maryland or Delmarva Peninsula area is because some of the regulations that they've had over the years to see their experience with the environmental issues with the Chesapeake Bay there. So that's coming down the pipe, and if there's any other questions.